cutting through the static to find what matters. This is signal over noise.
Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. I'm thrilled you're here today because we're diving into a massive, hidden architectural shift that's probably happening right under your nose. Based on the recent deep dive from Signal Over Noise, issue 19, we're talking about the credential your agent really isn't supposed to have. Look, over the past couple of years, your engineering team has probably spent thousands of hours perfectly hardening how humans log into your systems. You have multi-factor authentication everywhere, single sign-on across all your SaaS tools, and quarterly access reviews that actually catch stale accounts. For human identity, your dashboard is bright green. But then, last quarter, your platform team shipped 40 new autonomous AI agents into production. And here's the terrifying secret: they're likely running on a completely unprotected, legacy credential model. Today, we're going to break down the critical gap between human and AI agent identity security and why the credential your agent holds today, whether it's in a config file, an environment variable, or even pasted into the prompt itself, is an active vulnerability. So, here's our quick roadmap for this explainer. 1. The agent identity problem. 2. The machine identity explosion. 3. Why static keys fail. 4. The 4 solutions. And 5. What to do this week. All right, let's jump right into part 1, the agent identity problem, a security mismatch. The core issue we're facing is that the security models we built for people, they simply don't apply to machine intelligence. And honestly, the models we built for older machines were designed for a totally different era of software. You've got this stark contrast. For human identity, everything is locked down, verified, and passing those rigorous access reviews. But then you look at agent identity. Those 40 new agents that just hit production, each one is running on a standard service account. Each service account uses an API key just sitting there in plain text in a config file or as an environment variable. On the really rushed deployments, that API key might literally be pasted directly into the agent's system prompt. None of them have multi-factor authentication. None of them have a rotation policy anyone can point to. That beautiful green dashboard you have for human access, it absolutely does not describe your actual attack surface anymore. Moving on to part 2, the machine identity explosion, a staggering scale.
To truly grasp the risk here, we really have to look at the scale of what we're building. The math is honestly staggering, and it's happening way faster than traditional governance teams can keep up. When your team ships a single AI agent, they aren't just creating one single service account. A production agent is usually an orchestrator, a reasoning component, a handful of sub-agents, and a wrapper for every distinct tool it calls. So one single user request fires off 5 to 20 distinct software identities traversing your network. According to CyberArk's 2025 survey, this architectural shift has led to an incredible stat. There are already 82 machine identities for every single human identity in the average enterprise. Multiply a fleet of agents by 20 components each, and the count absolutely explodes. And it's the speed of this growth that makes it so incredibly dangerous. SANS 2026 data shows that 76% of organizations watched their machine identity population double or triple in just 12 months. Think about that for a second. Your identity system has grown by a massive factor in a little over a year, but the governance team that's supposed to review and secure those identities, they likely grew by 0. Machine identity has been this unsolved corner of enterprise IT for a decade, but AI agents have suddenly shoved it right into the center of your estate. Which brings us to part 3. Why static keys fail. A flawed paradigm. We really have to fundamentally shift our mental model here. Right now, we're taking the security paradigm of a nightly batch job and applying it to a probabilistic thinking system. And that is a recipe for absolute disaster. Think of a static API key like a physical master key to a building that opens every single door and works forever. For a batch job, okay, that's tolerable. The job sits in a locked room, runs on a rigid schedule, doesn't talk to anyone. But an AI agent, it's autonomous, it's probabilistic, it can be coaxed, tricked, or confused. When we evaluate the failures, they happen in 3 specific ways. First, lifetime. If a static key's lifetime is months, it's now being held by a system that routinely leaks. Second, scope. If the scope is a union of all possible permissions the agent might ever need, well, it's all granted all the time. A prompt-injected agent can exploit every single one of those permissions in one hijack turn, literally at machine speed. Third, the context window. Where does the key actually live? In the runtime environment. And the model can literally see its own environment variables. It can hallucinate them into a customer chat, or just dump them into a shared Slack channel during an error.
So the crucial point is this rule of thumb, and I want you to really internalize this as you evaluate your architecture. If the credential your agent holds today would still work tomorrow, next month, or next quarter, you do not have an identity model, you have a bearer token with a nice name. You have essentially handed a master key to a system that decides, one word at a time, what to output. The rotation clock of your typical enterprise is measured in months, but an AI agent's exploitation clock is measured in seconds. You're always going to lose that race.
And look, this isn't just some academic theory. We're seeing the real-world consequences right now across the industry. The SOFO's 2026 State of Identity Security Report flagged weak machine identity management as the second greatest root cause of breaches, appearing in roughly 40% of investigated incidents. The old model simply cannot absorb the new agentic workloads without a total rewrite. The core assumption baked into the old model, that the credential holder is a locked-down, predictable program, simply no longer holds true.
Let's move on to part 4, the 4 solutions, the modern target state. The good news here is that the industry has converged on a modern target state. It doesn't require you to become a cryptography researcher, but it does require a mental shift. We're moving away from a permanent house key and toward a hotel key card. Property number 1, the credential must be short-lived. Instead of an API key that lives for a year, the agent gets a token that lives for minutes. When the token expires, it auto-deletes, it becomes completely useless, even to an attacker who managed to steal it from yesterday's application log file. It's exactly like a hotel key card. If you drop it in the lobby the day after you check out, the finder can't use it to walk into your room. We achieve this using dynamic secrets managers like HashiCorp Vault or AWS Secrets Manager. We drop the rotation clock from months down to just minutes completely automatically. Property number 2, the credential must be scoped. Instead of one powerful master credential that has the ability to read every customer record and issue every refund, the agent asks for a micro-credential. It basically says, let me read ticket 4718 exactly once. The token knows precisely what it's allowed to do. In plain English, if an agent gets compromised in the middle of a complex support conversation, this scoped token only opens one single door, not every door in the building. This is absolutely crucial because modern agents use tool brokers, like the Model Context Protocol, to call dozens of distinct APIs. The broker should mint a strictly scoped per-call token for each specific tool, completely limiting the blast radius of any single compromise. Property number 3, sender constrained. Now, imagine your hotel key card also required your thumbprint to work. That's exactly what a sender constraint token is. It's cryptographically bound to the specific piece of software that requested it. So if a token inadvertently leaks into a log file or an exposed environment variable and an attacker copies it, it's completely worthless to them. Why? Because the attacker doesn't hold the agent's private key. The industry accomplishes this using robust standards like DPoP, which stands for Demonstrating Proof of Possession on Every Single Request, and open source plumbing like Spiffy and Spire to give the workload an actual verifiable identity certificate at runtime. Property number 4, audited per action. Instead of a monthly aggregate report simply stating an agent accessed a database 8,000 times, the audit log records every single distinct tool call. It shows exactly which agent instance did it, which micro-credential it used, the exact task performed, the resource touched, and a precise timestamp. And let me tell you why this matters right now. Article 50 of the EU AI Act becomes applicable in August 2026. For high-risk systems, it demands exactly this level of granular traceability. If something goes wrong in production, shrugging and saying, the agent did it, is just not going to be a defensible answer to a regulator or an auditor. As Evan Gilman, the co-author of Zero Trust Networks, noted recently in London, the days of long-lived, broadly scoped service credentials are numbered. The only question remaining is whether your organization proactively retires them on its own strategic schedule, or if you simply wait for an attacker to do it for you during an incident. When you put those 4 properties together, short-lived, scoped, sender-constrained, and audited per action, you achieve what the industry calls zero standing privilege. No agent has any permissions by default, ever. They ask for exactly what they need for a specific task, and they lose the permission immediately after the task completes. According to IDSA's 2025 Trends Report, only 1% of enterprises have fully adopted this pattern. If you're an engineering leader watching this, being in that 1% isn't just about security, it's a massive, immediate competitive advantage for your organization, allowing you to ship autonomous features far faster and safer than your competitors. Finally, part 5, what to do this week. Take action today. I want to leave you with some highly practical, concrete moves you can execute right away, none taking more than an afternoon. Step 1, inventory, one agent end-to-end. Grab a clipboard, pick a production agent, and list out every orchestrator, subagent, and tool wrapper. Expect this to take about 2 hours, and frankly, expect some mild embarrassment when you see how many moving parts share the exact same static key. Step 2. Open a terminal and grep your agent configs for long-lived secrets. The goal for this quarter isn't 0 matches. The goal is that every single matched static secret gets a documented migration ticket. Step 3. Migrate one agent to a dynamic secrets flow. Pick the credential with the broadest scope you found in Step 2 and move it to a secrets manager that hands out short-lived credentials. You'll learn more from doing this once in your own infrastructure than from reading 10 specification documents. Agent identity is certainly not the most glamorous part of the AI stack. But I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Is your agent stack identity determining whether you survive your first major security incident? Because right now, for most organizations, the answer is a terrifying yes. Fix it before your agent fleet grows any further. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope it gave you exactly the architectural translation and actionable steps you need to start securing your machine identities today.
Cutting through the static.